It's Coach Chris from Fox Sports Radio High School Football. I'm with QB Country, new Virginia operative. Got the franchise working in the 804 and 757, Gregory, my buddy from the old neighborhood. Greg, people don't realize we actually grew up knowing each other. And for the record, I am older, but your dad was actually the first high school coach that I ever knew personally.
I didn't really know that until you told me a few months ago. And I think you told me you actually umpired a Little League baseball game I may have played in.
I did, and I can tell you that scouting report that I've gotten from other high school coaches is correct. You could always get somebody to chase a bad curveball.
That's all I could throw.
Well, listen, you've got this new venture, and one of the things that I thought was so great about it was, first of all, I knew your background. Very much diverse in the systems that you've run. You've been a coach at several positions. You've been a head coach. Just talk a little bit about your background and how it lends itself to the product you're bringing to the athletes in 804.
Well, the big thing is I've worked with quarterbacks for about 27 years straight now. I've been, like you say, I've been in all sorts of systems. Now, we don't teach systems, but I think the advantage of that is when I train a quarterback individually, I can kind of blend it to whatever he's doing at his high school. I find out what he's doing. If they're a spread team, I've run the spread. If they're a power football team, we've been a power football team where I've been. If they're an option football team, I can work with them on those type of mechanics. So I think just that diverse background helps me, when a kid comes to me that I can help him apply it directly to his team. Now, most of the kids, we're going to train them almost the same as far as throwing mechanics and so forth. But when we start getting into special situations for them, because we try to make a game like, we'll apply it to what they're doing at their school there.
Great example. I won't put them on the spot, but two great returning junior quarterbacks from the same old traditional district, two totally different offenses, but the kids are working together and also looking forward to that game in week 4.
Yeah, Clayton Cheatham over at Hanover, who really is an outstanding worker. Clayton's 6'2", 220 pounds right now. Tremendous runner that needs to improve as a passer. He's totally committed to doing this. He'll probably get in almost 30 sessions this whole summer before the season starts. And then Jawan Carter over at Holland Springs. Jawan, very smooth passer that if we can just strengthen his arm, that's going to be a heck of a game. What is it, week 4 that they play each other? I'm really looking forward to it. And what I really like about this, sure, they're getting coached, but I'm intermixing kids that are going to be playing against each other, train with each other, and they want to train with each other. They push each other. There's some competition going on when they train just naturally, but they become best friends. And they're friends on Facebook, they're friends on Twitter, and all of a sudden what's going to happen is when Holland Springs plays Hanover, well, instead of the trash talking that normally goes on, and there'll still be some of that, but in that locker room, Clayton Cheatham is going to be telling his teammates, hey, Jawan's a heck of a player. Jawan's going to be in his locker room telling his teammates, Clayton's a heck of a player. We got to get ready to play. To be more, there'll be a respect. There's a respect being gained amongst these quarterbacks, and they're not the only two. I've got a number of guys that are going to be playing against each other here in the Richmond area, and I'm looking forward to coming up and watching them play.
I wanted to point out that we've been able to pair you with several really, really good returning quarterbacks and a couple of kids coming through the ranks that the program and the head coach themselves knows about, but the general public doesn't.
Oh, yeah, there's some young kids in the area. I think you're going to see I don't even like to mention their names, but there's a kid named Brendan Clark over at Manchester who's an 8th grader who is just working his butt off. And then Jalen Jones, who I believe will be going to Verona this year. They're both 8th graders that I think are going to have, according to their coaches, are going to be in the mix to start as 9th graders. And that's kind of unheard of. And they're very polished guys for that young. And they're fun to work with because hopefully I'll be with them all the way through for the next 4 years and on until they get into college.
One of the things in preparing for this, we were thinking about specialization. And before I get into that a little bit, first of all, how young would you accept somebody at QB Country VA?
Well, I've got a 10-year-old right now. I've got a 10-year-old down in Norfolk that I work with. I would watch them throw first, and if mechanically they're too weak to throw the football, I wouldn't work with them. But if they've got the body to throw the football, I can go as low as 10. I could probably go 9 if a kid could throw it, and teach them how to throw a football correctly. I think the biggest thing is for kids to make sure the ball fits their hand. Don't be throwing something that's too big for them, and don't try to throw the ball farther than they need to. Just teach them how to throw the football. But I don't care how young they are. And we cut the prices way down. When I deal with a young kid, I basically go in half, because I'm not going to work them for an hour and 15 minutes. I'll work them for 40 minutes, 45 minutes. They're not going to be able to last that long without you wearing their arm out.
So that brings us to specializing in sports, something that sounds like we're promoting for football, but nothing further could be further from the truth.
No, and I'm not against specialization. I just think people have the wrong idea of what specialization is. Specialization is getting better at a particular sport, but that doesn't mean you have to play that sport year round. For instance, if I'm a baseball player, I can play baseball in the spring, okay, when it's baseball season, spring and summer. But then when I get into the fall and the winter, I don't need to be on a baseball team to improve as a baseball player. I can go get a batting coach. I can go get a pitching coach or whatever. Just like right now, I've got kids that I'm training as quarterbacks that are playing lacrosse, running track, playing baseball, okay? But they're still specializing in football because they're getting better. But you don't have to be on a team. I think what's happening so much is a lot of youth coaches, high school coaches think that the kid has to be on a baseball team or a soccer team or a lacrosse team or a football team or whatever it is year round in order to improve. And you don't have to be. You can play. I like kids to be involved in other sports. I think there's great transition from one sport to the other. I like the competition aspect of it. But I think there's a time, if you're just on a team, I don't know if you're really getting the quality practice. You're just playing games. I don't know if you're really getting better. You're doing the same thing over and over and over. Whereas if you're a soccer player, but you also want to play another sport, you can get, let's say you're a goalie. You can get a goalie coach. You can get a guy to work with you on your footwork twice a week or whatever. You don't have to be on a team. And I think so many times kids get locked in. And then the worst thing, if you're below the age of 12, I don't know how you could possibly think about specializing or just focusing on one sport, because I've seen too many times the star 9, 10, 11-year-old player is just another participant at 14, 15, 16. He gets bypassed by people. And if he or she hasn't had a chance to participate in other sports, where do they turn? If I have strictly been a soccer player from 9 years old all the way up to 14, all of a sudden I'm not good enough. I'm not good. They've all bypassed me. Other people gotten bigger, stronger, faster. Where do I go? I've never thrown a ball. I've never hit a baseball. Where do I go?
And don't even get me started on burnout.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. That happens. That happens as well. And I'm just so. I wish I could just sit down with parents and just. In some ways, it's a little bit of a scam. It's been made. Get them on this team. Get them on this team, and they play this team all year round. And they just keep playing, and they never get exposed to anything else. And I can't stand that personally.
Well, maybe we'll get you in touch with some parents in Central Virginia. He's Gregory from QB Country, VA. I'm Coach Chris. I got a feeling we're both going to see you on Friday night.